Sit back, dear viewer, as I tell you a tale. It's the early 2010s, and right now, things aren't looking great for Nintendo. Their newest console, the Wii U, has harshly underperformed, with many customers flocking to other new consoles like the Xbox One or PS4. Nintendo has also fallen behind in a popular genre, shooters. With many of its fans having grown up and enjoying more mature genres like this, Nintendo needs to find a way to appeal to them. But they're Nintendo. You know, that fun game company for kids. How are they supposed to make a shooter? The answer? By doing something new. Early prototypes of this game were made with blocks of tofu that had ink-spraying noses, though there obviously had to be more than that, so they later designed anthropomorphic rabbit characters. However, these designs were also scrapped in favor of humanoid squid characters, as they made a lot more sense to have ink-based weapons. These creatures, known as Inklings, would come to be the face of Nintendo's brand new IP, Splatoon. Taking place in the city of Inkopolis, Splatoon's setting provided a bit more of a down-to-earth world compared to the medieval Light Kingdoms and happy fantasy lands of other Nintendo franchises. Also deviating from what's typical was the gameplay. Unlike most shooters, where goals typically involve killing players or fulfilling some sort of mission, the goal of Splatoon's main mode, Turf War, was to ink as much of the ground as possible, and whichever team that had the most turf inked when the clock ran out would be declared the winner. In addition, there were other gameplay modes such as Splat Zones, Tower Control, and Rainmaker, as well as a story mode that added some depth to the world. In this story mode, the player joins an organization called the New Squidbeak Splatoon in order to defeat the Octarians, who have stolen the city's power supply, the Great Zapfish. To keep players invested, there would be monthly events known as Splatfests, where players would pick a team to fight for and compete with others around the world to gain the most points over a period of a couple of days. Despite coming out on an underperforming console, Splatoon was still a decent success, selling nearly 5 million units and becoming the 6th best-selling game on the Wii U, with users praising the new style of gameplay, world, and character designs. This success wouldn't go unnoticed. The final Splatfest of Splatoon 1 pitted the two main idols of the game, Callie and Marie, against each other, and in the end, Marie would come out on top. Little did anyone know, this result would have a lasting effect on the future of the series. Less than a year after Splatoon's final Splatfest, Nintendo revealed the game's sequel for their upcoming console, the Nintendo Switch, appropriately titled Splatoon 2. Released on July 1st, 2017, this sequel offered new weapons, new character design options, a new idol duo, more monthly Splatfests, a new mode for rank play titled Clam Blitz, and a whole new game mode known as Salmon Run, where players fight for survival amidst a horde of monsters called Salmonids, all while collecting the golden eggs that they drop. The story also built off of what its predecessor established. Taking place 2 years after the first game, Splatoon 2's story mode involved Callie of the Squid Sisters going missing, with your new character teaming up with Marie to rescue her from the Octarians, who are back for revenge after their defeat in the first game. Splatoon 2 received similar praise to the first game, with fans liking the expanded options and new game modes. However, there was also some criticism of it being too similar to its predecessor, but since many who played it didn't have a Wii U, that criticism was often overlooked. Speaking of which, having been released on a much more successful console, Splatoon 2 sales quickly exceeded the first game, selling over 13.6 million units worldwide, and it wasn't done yet. March 8, 2018 was a big day for Splatoon. For one thing, there was a new Smash Bros. Game coming out, with Inklings being confirmed as the first new playable characters. But Nintendo also revealed a paid DLC package for Splatoon 2, titled Octo Expansion. This DLC puts the player in the role of Agent 8, an Octoling with amnesia who finds himself trapped in a deep underground subway system, along with Captain Cuttlefish, who was absent from the main game's campaign. This campaign stood out among the previous two for its darker tone, new gameplay style, and increased difficulty, providing an additional challenge for older audiences. There was even a secret final boss of the campaign that proved to be one of the hardest boss fights Nintendo had ever made. The story of Octo Expansion also greatly expanded the world. By playing as an Octoling, as well as diving into Marina's backstory, it showed that the conflict between Inklings and Octarians wasn't as black and white as previously portrayed. In addition, it showed players that there were more forces at play in this world than just Inklings and Octarians, allowing the Octo Expansion to serve as a big turning point in the Splatoon series. The final Splatfest of Splatoon 2 took place 2 years after its release. Dubbed the Splatocalypse, this Splatfest had participants choose between Chaos and Order, with Chaos coming out on top. Though at this point, fans had gathered a good understanding of how the series worked. Everyone knew that this result would have a big effect on the next game in the series. The only question was when would that game come out? On February 17th, 2021, many Nintendo fans sat down to watch a new Nintendo Direct, with the closing announcement being a teaser for Splatoon 3. The announcement caught many fans, including myself, really off guard, as most people didn't expect the next Splatoon game to come out until the next console. But clearly, Nintendo didn't think so, and fans buckled in for Splatoon 3, which is set to come out the next year. Just over a year and a half later, on September 9th, 2022, the anticipated sequel released, and it made quite a splash. Taking place in the new city of Splatsville, Splatoon 3 came complete with new maps, new weapons, even more customization options, lockers to decorate, emotes, name tags, a card game, an idle trio instead of a duo, events for Salmon Run, and a new single-player campaign that dove into the origin of the Splatoon world. There was a lot of new stuff, though for some, it wasn't enough to separate the game from its predecessors, as similar to Splatoon 2, there was some criticism that it still felt like the same game. Though it seemed like the supporters far outnumbered the detractors, and sales numbers would reflect this. Selling nearly 3.5 million units in just 3 days, Splatoon 3 became the fastest-selling video game ever in Japan, with it currently having sold nearly 12 million units worldwide. And just like Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3 also received a DLC campaign. Dubbed Side Order, it puts the player back in the role of Agent 8 as they navigate a virtual world sanitized by Order that threatens to spread its influence to the real world. This campaign mixed in roguelite elements by having the player ascend a tower and play through a series of random levels for each floor. It also saw the long-awaited return of Pearl and Marina, as well as a new character called Oct who helps 8 on their journey. Side Order was generally well received, but was also criticized for feeling really repetitive. But even though it had its flaws, it set up for what was to come next. Keeping up with the tradition, Splatoon 3 would have a big final Splatfest, with this one being dubbed the Grand Festival, a name it would certainly live up to. Unlike the previous 2 games, this festival would have 3 teams like Splatoon 3's other fests, but instead of one member of Deep Cut representing each team, this fest brought in all 3 idol groups to represent the past, present, and future. And I gotta say, Nintendo really went all out for this one, creating a custom hub world where you could see all 3 idol groups perform different songs, play on different stages, as well as a custom stage dubbed the Grand Splatlands Bowl. It really felt like the culmination of everything the Splatoon series had been through up to that point. In the end, Team Past was victorious, leaving us, ironically, looking to the future for what's to come. Splatoon will always mean a lot to me, as it's one of the few big game series I play in which I was there from the start. Most big game franchises got started before I was born, or long before I started playing video games, so it feels good to say I've been part of this fanbase since the beginning. This franchise has always interested me because while it presents itself as some fun, lighthearted game for kids, there's always been a much darker undertone to it, telling the story of how humans essentially killed themselves, leaving sea creatures to take their place. And then those creatures who were once friends were torn apart by circumstances beyond their control. There's legitimate tragedy in the lore of this series, and I don't think that should be overlooked by anyone. But even aside from the story, when I initially played the first game, I was shocked at just how much fun I was having. Nintendo was trying to make a brand new type of shooter, and in cases like that, there's always a chance it won't catch on. And this must have been extra risky considering it came out on a failing console. And yet, Splatoon was able to get a sizable fanbase, and now it's considered one of Nintendo's big franchises, standing shoulder to shoulder with series and characters that have been around for 3 times as long. If all goes according to plan, I should be releasing this video exactly on Splatoon's 10th anniversary. That may seem like a long time to some, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that long, and there's still a ton of places it can go. I think Splatoon stands out compared to other Nintendo franchises because of how easily adaptable it is. It can be lighthearted, but can also be dark. It can be fantastical, but can also be realistic. It can be a semi-typical shooter, but it can also be a card game, roguelike, or a kaiju fish destruction mission. There's always something new to expect from Splatoon, and I'll be there for it past, present, and future. That's all I have to say for now, so stay fresh, don't get cooked, and catch you later.